Hey everybody, welcome back to the Planeswalker Coach channel. I'm your host Paladin Robin. Folks, thank you for joining me. Today we're taking a look at Elspeth Stormslayer. This is going to be a Planeswalker review where we're going to cover all of the abilities that you see on your screen. We're going to talk about this passive ability as well. We're going to show you a deck that you can use to kind of really make yourself at home with this Planeswalker, make yourself just incredibly unstoppable. I think you're gonna like the deck. The deck is a very, very strong deck that's got a nice infinite loop in it, folks. But before we get started, we got to make sure we thank Webcore. Webcore has been awesome to us. Thank you, Webcore, for giving us this Planeswalker. Folks, they've given this one here to us so that way we can do this video for you and keep you guys in the know, get you all the information that you want so that you can make a really good decision, an informed decision on whether you want this one or not. All right, so thank you, Webcore. You guys have been great. All right, folks, let's get into it. I want to point out this really quickly, 123 for the life points. That's about right. I think this is a strong Planeswalker where 123 is about right. I think you could even go less because this Planeswalker is really on the strong side. And I'll kind of get into why I think it's so strong. There's a lot of things you can do with this, but just to get us off on a good note, I just put that out there, folks. 123, nice amount. All right, mana bonuses. Here you go. We can see our mana bonuses. We got +4 for white, +4 for blue. You got +3 over here for green, and you got red and black. They both have -1. I really like this spread. I just got to tell you guys, yeah, I like this spread. And the reason is you have a couple here that are really going to push you through some games. You got one that's going to be able to support your main colors, and this is kind of cool. You got 3 that are actually going to do some work for you. And what I also like is you only have a -1 and a -1 for the black and the red. So those aren't going to hurt you a whole lot if you have to go with those. So very cool there. All right, folks, let's get into it. Here is the first ability for 7. To end all wars. Create a soldier token, reinforce it 3 times. That creature gains lifelink and vigilance until the beginning of your next turn. This is a nice ability. I'd like to pair this ability with cards that create soldier tokens. And if you can find cards that not only create soldier tokens, but give you a buff, like one of those that will say something like, you get +1/+1 for all of their reinforcements. Something like that is going to be really, really strong. I definitely use that kind of a play style with this first ability. I'm thinking about cards like Queen Alanol of Ruadak. She's a very interesting one. She's a creature card that gives her a buff, and it's a +X/+X buff. And the X is equal to the amount of creatures that you have. Alright, so you can pump out soldiers, and once you start pumping out those soldiers, you're definitely going to be able to give her that nice buff. Another really good card is King Darian the 48th. That one creates more soldier tokens, and you also get the buff, right? So you get the buff based on how many of these creature cards that you have. So that's going to be good. It's one of those that I think it's a support, and it says you get +1/+1 for each reinforcement of your creatures, right? So that's really good. That one also gives you prevent damage, which is excellent because it pairs nicely with this one here, vigilance. As we know, vigilance plus prevent damage means you can block a lot of things and you're not going to take damage. So excellent card to go with this one here. All right, let's take a look at this one, Wings of Order for 10. Creatures you control gain flying until the end of turn. Convert 5 gems to white. So this one is actually a nice ability. I'd like to use this one with Glyph Elemental. Glyph Elemental gives an XX buff, right? So the +X/+X buff to your creatures. And X is equal to the number of white gems that you have on the board. And in order to trigger this, you got to have a landfall, right? And this is going to be really, really good to help you produce those landfalls. What I would do is put this in a deck where you got some lands or artifacts that's constantly converting to white. Obviously, you constantly convert to white, you're going to have a good chance of pushing some landfalls out, doing that manufacturing of landfalls. And you know what? You're going to have a lot of white already on the board to help you with that big buff. And that's such a good way to play Glyph Elemental. You can play with this one, obviously. You get more of those white gems, increase your chance to get those landfalls as well. So really a cool ability here. All right, here's the last one here, Late Redemption. Destroy the first opposing creature with mana cost 13 or more, gain 15 life. Destroy the opposing creature with the greatest power. This is a pretty sweet ability. I would like to just absolutely spam the heck out of this ability and just keep my opponent off the board, and that's just a great way to win games, right? If you can hit this maybe once every turn or once every 2 turns, yeah, you're going to be able to stop your opponent. They're gonna barely be able to get creatures out and attack you before you're able to destroy them. So that's really cool. You'd want to play this ability probably with cards like Enduring Innocence and Desolate Mire. Both of those are really good at getting you extra loyalty so that you can try to push this out once every 2 turns, once every turn, that kind of thing. Obviously Golden Wish kind of does the same thing. It's a little faster, but once every 2 turns, once a turn, that kind of thing. That's going to help you just destroy your opponent. Alright, let's take a look here at this passive ability. This one is called Command and Conquer. At the beginning of your turn, creatures you control get +X+X. X is equal to the number of soldier creatures that you control. So I think you can build with soldiers for this. There are some good soldiers out there, right? Beauregard Mentor is a really good one. That's a rabbit soldier. When it enters the battlefield, it gets +X+X. X is the number of creatures and their reinforcements that you control. Myrel, Shield of Argive, is also a good one. I think a lot of you kind of knew I was going to go there. That's a very good card. Whenever it attacks, you can create X artifact soldier tokens. X is equal to the number of soldier cards that you control, including their reinforcements. So it kind of really pairs well here. I would definitely put those two together. Excellent way to utilize this and utilize that. And then you can see why I think this is a good Planeswalker. Really well-rounded Planeswalker. Alright folks, let's take a look at the deck that I built for this one. When I put this one together, what I kind of started by doing was searching for the keyword soldier. And what really popped out for me was Ocelot Pride. This seems to be one of the most flexible and probably most powerful cards that we have currently. It makes for you these Ajani soldier tokens. And this deck is a very interesting deck. It has a very awesome infinite loop that I'm going to show you. Here we are, and we can take a look here. Ocelot Pride and Campbell Profiteering Mayor will give you a nice instant kill kind of a loop, right? As soon as you hit this, you're going to be able to just nuke your opponents. You're going to have a nice infinite loop that does damage. So basically, you're going to be able to create a nice loop that wins the game for you. All right, let me explain how. Ocelot Pride here, you can see when you gain life during your turn, you can create 3 of these Ajani soldier tokens. You can take a look here. All right, that's kind of important. What we're going to try to do is pair it with Campbell the Profiteering Mayor. It says when a token creature enters the battlefield under your control, deal 3 damage to your opponent Planeswalker, then you gain 3 life. So you can see what I'm going for, right? I'm going to gain life with this one here. When I gain that life, I'm going to be making 3 of these soldier tokens. When I make the soldier tokens, it's going to come into play and trigger this one. When this one is triggered, it's going to gain life. And because I'm gaining life, it's going to trigger this. It's going to put those tokens into play and then trigger this. And when that one gets triggered, I'm going to gain the life, which is going to trigger this, which of course will go back to trigger this, which will go back to trigger this. And you'll see what's happening. I'm going to have a whole boatload of these Ajani soldier tokens. But more importantly, I'm going to be making sure I do 3 damage to my opponent with every single one that comes out. And that's what's going to win the game for us. Alright, so we're going to try that. I've also included a couple of other cards here that are kind of important. Folks, when I'm building decks, what I'm trying to do is put together a finishing move and then set up the rest of the cards that are going to get me to that finishing move as fast as possible. Alright, so here's another one, Life Insurance. It kind of does the same thing as our Profiteering Mayor. When a creature enters the battlefield, you will have your opponent lose 2 life and you gain 2 life. So when you gain 2 life, you'll be able to trigger this again. You'll put more creatures out. That will trigger this again. You know, kind of that back and forth. And really what we're trying to do is get the damage on the opponent. This one, Assemble Player, is very good. It's going to help us pull our combo. And if we can pull that combo real fast, you know guys, this game is going to be over. Alright, so let's go take a look at the gameplay footage. All right, I'm hoping to pull those two creatures out really quickly, because if I can get those out, folks, yeah, this one is going to be a short video. You're going to be able to see that really cool combo. It's an infinite loop, as I talked about, and once we get that infinite loop going, yeah, that infinite loop's going to just win it for us. There we are. We have Ocelot's Pride early in the game. That's really good. We do like to see that. I'm going to go with this. Get me a match here. And oh, nice. Okay. Got some good cascades going. We got the Cryptex out. That's awesome. Let's see what else we can do. I'm hoping for another creature. Either that or maybe assemble the players. Something like that. It's going to be helpful. Let's see what we got. Oh, nice. We got Campbell on the second turn. That's perfect, guys. So at this point, as soon as we hit this combo that we already have in hand, this one is going to be over. I'm kind of looking to see what else we can play. Not a ton. Maybe we'll get a cascade off of this. Nope. Looks like no cascade. All right, folks, we're making some moves. We're doing really, really good. Guys, this is going to be a quick video. You know, I'm thinking we're going to get Campbell up pretty soon. All right, connect the dots. That's a good card for the opponent. And there we are. There we are, folks. Okay, Campbell is ready to go. Gonna slide this guy in the front. It doesn't really matter because we're gonna win it here. And assemble your creatures. No, we don't need to do that. We're just gonna play the card and take the win. And you guys are gonna see the combo here. It's gonna be an awesome combo. Campbell is out. We do some damage. We gain the life. Put the soldier tokens in. That triggers Campbell. Campbell gives life here. Gives damage here. When we get that life, we put more soldiers down. More soldiers are coming out. Those soldiers will trigger Campbell again. We're going to get life, give damage. Very cool, guys. That you can see it's an infinite loop, right? When those soldiers come out, we're able to gain life and, of course, do damage. And really, that's just going to create that infinite loop, right? We gain the life, put more soldiers out. More soldiers trigger more life. More life triggers more soldiers trigger more life. You guys kind of get it, right? And as soon as we hit that, this thing is over. It's so cool. Very, very cool combo. You can see as soon as we get the life going, the opponent starts taking some damage. Very cool. At this point, we don't even have to attack, folks. We're going to just run this thing infinite loop style, keeping the damage on the opponent every single time the cards come into play. Yeah, this was cool. This is a super strong deck. And folks, you know what? I think I like this deck especially because it's super consistent. I think if you rewind back in the footage, you're going to see that we have a lot of cards that absolutely just focus on pulling this combo. And that's one of the strategies that I like to provide for the viewers, right? One of the things I like to do is if you have a combo like this that finishes off the opponent as soon as you hit it, then it makes sense for you to put some cards in your deck that's going to play defense, but the rest of the cards should be focused on you just being able to draw the finishing combo. All right, stop the loop. Nope, we're going to finish this thing right here. All right, guys, you can see where this is going. This one is over. Like and subscribe. Share with all your friends. It really helps the channel. Good gaming, guys.